Hello, everybody. My name is TJ. I manage over $100 million a year in Google ad spend. And today I'm going to show you how to create a pest control Google Ads campaign all the way from beginning to end. You'll know how to build out the campaign, target the correct location, the exact type of ad copy I would recommend for pest control. I will also show you how to do keyword targeting in your specific location to make sure there's enough volume for what you're targeting and what the average CPC is in your location. If you don't know, that means cost per click. All right, let's jump in. All right, so now we are inside the Google ad account. What we're gonna go ahead and do is click on new campaign. Click leads. You do not want to select anything else here because we're not trying to generate a sale, meaning something like an e-commerce store would typically do. We're going to want to generate a lead. Now, in this case, you might have this if you've set up your conversion goals. If you have not set up your conversion goals, go ahead and click the other video on my channel on how to set that up. Or otherwise, you can go to your conversion goal settings right now, and sometimes it'll have it automatically set up for you where you can just click the button to insert your conversion goals. Okay, so what you're gonna wanna do is make sure that you only have one conversion goal active. You wanna turn off everything that is not the final conversion event that you want on. So you'll turn off add to cart, begin checkout, page views, and purchases. So in this particular case, I only want to know, and I only want my Google ad campaign to optimize for when someone submits a lead and says, hey, interested in pest control. And hit continue. Go ahead and click search campaign. We don't want to run performance max, demand gen, display, video, or shopping. Don't want to do any of those. So for a website, I'm going to use an example website. We're going to use this one. And for the sake of this video, I'm also located in Tampa. So you'll see a lot of examples that I do will be including that. So we're going to go ahead and type in pest control campaign. All right, so from a bid strategy selection, you're going to want to select maximize conversions. You do not want to select a target cost per action yet until you've run this campaign for at least 60 days and had leads come in. What happens is once you have enough data and you can understand what it costs to acquire somebody, you can then turn this on and you can set this at, let's say if it costs you $10 to get a lead, you can then effectively tell Google, hey, we only want to try and get a lead or spend money if we can get it at a target $10 CPA. This case, if it's a new account and you haven't been running it, or you've been running but it hasn't been successful, you want to leave this in effectively a learning strategy for the first 60 days. And so we'll keep on maximize conversions. This customer acquisition optimized campaign for acquiring new customers is very buggy and does not work well. And at this point, doesn't make any sense for this industry. All right. Now we're going to turn off Google Search Partners and Google Display Network. I'm going to keep this quick, but it's best practice, whether you're in lead gen or e-com, to always turn this off. Essentially, when you have these on, you're basically writing a blank check to Google and they can spend anywhere they want. If you want to go look up what these placements are, you can, but the quick explanation of it is Google has partnerships with other blogs and other third-party networks where they can show your ad. And it doesn't even really need to be your right or ideal audience. And it's really low quality leads and really low quality clicks. There are some people watching this video right now that have a pest control campaign set up. And if all you do is go and turn this off, the quality of the traffic to your site will increase by 10x. So this is a crucial piece to get right. Next is locations. Now, I can't tell you how many times we'll take over an account for a client where they aren't doing location targeting correctly. So you can target United States and that's great. But if you're servicing, in our case, we're going to be just servicing Tampa, you're going to want to make sure you add in the right location. So you're going to click enter another location. And then I'm going to type in Tampa. Right. Now we're going to click include. And now we have a way smaller audience to be able to go after and make sure we're hitting the right people. What you'll find here if you hit advanced search, and this is what I would typically recommend doing if you have the time or the information, is to go ahead and add in the zip codes. So if I did something like 6, this should be a local Tampa area. Yep. So this is a specific zip code. Now, the reason I recommend this is if you have an area and let's say you're in Chicago, right? You don't want to target all of Chicago. For some reason, sometimes you might not want to. So you can add in specific zip codes, maybe the net worth individuals in specific locations. You can do it that way. Again, this depends on the industry. This depends on who you're targeting and going after, but it gives you a lot more control over where you're spending your budget and the direction you're putting it. In most cases, it's fine just to pick your city, and then, like I said, if you do advanced search again, I'll show you what this looks like. You can go ahead and Tampa. I'll hit include. Boom. Now I have this, and we're good to go. Now, lastly, one of the last kind of ways to control this would to actually be do radius. Now, if I do Tampa, I click include. Now I have a 20-mile radius. So you need to know your business well enough to get an idea and say, hey, well, are people going to come to me for around 20 miles, or do I need to change that? Should this be more of like a 10 radius? In this particular case, this is probably what I would do, because a lot of people aren't going to cross this bridge here to come over typically. So I would hit save and do that, and now we're good to go. And the next thing is presence. So this is an option a lot of folks miss as well. Make sure you hit this location options and go to make sure your presence or interest is turned off, and you select presence. This is people, basically the way you want to think about this is who are traveling, or maybe somehow they become in your location that we just set for maybe a few days, but they don't necessarily live there. We don't want ads to show to those people. We want ads to show to people that actually live here. Oftentimes it's just people aren't going to be purchasing a product if they don't live in that location. 9 times out of 10, especially for local-based businesses. All right, now we have our languages set. Audience segments, we're not going to touch this. You don't want to do that at this level. Broad match keywords. This is a new thing that Google's added, and I would say later in 2024. Now we're in 2025, but Google basically has made it so these will automatically turn all your keywords over to broad match. You do not want this on. If you have this on, your campaigns will struggle. And just a rule of thumb, you never want to use broad match keywords. You always want to use exact and phrase match keywords. We'll get into that later. So we'll hit off here. And then we're going to turn on automatically created assets. I like using this. You can read this if you want. You can pause the screen. Essentially what this does is it'll use the content from my landing page domain and ads in combination with assets I provide. It'll customize assets based on relevance for my keywords. So over time, this is leveraging Google's AI to create custom ad copy. Sometimes it'll look at your page and figure out, okay, well, where can I actually match a user search to the right landing page? So this gives it a little bit more flexibility, so to speak. And so I'm a big fan of that because I check the campaign a lot. So I would recommend using this. All right, you can see some of these other options here. Right now, we're going to leave all these the same, and that's fine. You should be good. But these are kind of the key settings. So now I'm going to go ahead and click next. Now you'll see this is an automated result that Google gives us, where if you give it the URL like I did in the beginning, it's then going to try and figure out, okay, what can I pull off your website to help create an ad? Sometimes this is helpful, sometimes it's not. In this case, I'm actually going to go ahead and let it generate it just to see what it gives us. Typically it's pretty bad, but again, I'm recording this January 11th of 2025. So, okay, these are decent. You'll notice is this defaults to broad match keywords. We want them to be phrase or exact match. And then it went ahead and put in a bunch of different headlines. Actually, some of these are good. Over 40 years experience, that's a good one. And I have some others written. I'm going to leave some of these. And it automatically created an excellent strength ad for us. This is fantastic. I got to be quite honest with you guys. I typically don't see it do this, where it creates an excellent ad right away. But it's because this company's been established and been around for a while. So I'm actually going to show you how to make this ad even better. So before we get into this, what you need to do is you might be asking yourself, okay, TJ, well, what should I be targeting? What should I be doing? Great, I'm glad you asked. I'm going to show you how to do it. We're going to go to the Google Keyword Planner. So if you type this in your Google account, you can just in Keyword Planner, and you see it comes up right here. Once you click it, it'll take you to this page, and then you'll click Discover Keywords. Now, this will be defaulted like this to all. Sometimes it'll typically say United States or the location you're in, but we're going to go ahead and make sure we have Tampa typed in, right? Because that's where we're targeting. And then we're going to type in pest control. Enter. Get results. Great. So this has 100 to 1,000 monthly searches. Awesome. I can target that. I kind of know this out there. I also want to make sure I'm sorting by monthly searches to get the best result. So people typing in bed bugs, termites, silverfish. These are the things that people are typing in Google. So I don't want to necessarily just target bed bugs or just a random search for bed bugs, because what if I'm just looking up, I'm a weirdo on the internet and I just want to look up bed bugs or termites and what they look like. I don't want to do that. So I want to go ahead and make sure that it's someone clearly looking for a service. So I'm going to do best pest control, click get results. Okay, now we have insect control companies near me. Great, that's a good one. Best termite and pest control. Best mosquito repellents, probably not the one we would want to target. Best roach killers. But you can see here where we would want to pick off a few of these. Now, you have to take this into consideration, and this is where you have to know your business and what you're doing, because the average bid for some of these keywords is $9.52 on the low range, and the high range is $27.72. So you probably can't select, more than 5 to 10 keywords because your budget might not allow it. Most, pest control companies don't have $200,000 a month budgets. They have, typically what else 5 to 10K for some of these local businesses. And if they're a bigger chain, they might have 50,000 to 100,000 a month. So you have to be really particular. And that's why you want to make sure you're picking keywords that are good for your business. So what I did is I went ahead and I'm going to pull this onto the screen here, and you'll see some of the 10 targeted keywords that I want to go after. Now, the reason I picked these is because a lot of them use Tampa. They use a lot of the different things that are relevant to the example. And so we are going to be using them. Now, the other thing I have in here is you can see the headlines and ad copy I have written. I have the character count because you can only write headlines that are 30 characters long. You can only do descriptions that are 90 characters long, excuse me. So that being said, the number one kind of takeaway for ad copy, if you watched this far into the video, is that doing this, number one pest control or number one pest control in Tampa, you'll blow away like 90% of your competitors because it's relevant and Google sees it as, oh, this person is, creating really good people in their specific location. A lot of times people will have ad copy that's not super accurate. So down here, there's Tampa pest treatment. That's good. But number one Tampa pest control is way better, like I had. So what I would do is do number one Tampa pest control, and I would put that right here. Perfect. All right. Now, the reason that you can see the ad strength went down to good is because of the Google ads or the keywords we're targeting. So if I go ahead and type in pest control and I do best pest control, we're going to have to go ahead and then go back to this page here. I'm going to go ahead and just copy the rest of these in. All right, so now we have a lot more of these keywords, and what typically I would do is go through the rest of these and integrate the rest of the ad copy that I have here down below. And you can see these are some of the ones that I typically see do the best. 24/7 pest relief in Tampa, something like that. And I would go down here. All right, now here's another thing you can do. What I would like to do typically is I'll hit this button and this will allow me to pin in position 1. And you can see now anytime someone searches, it'll always show up. It'll give us another example. It'll always show up in that first spot, number one Tampa pest control. So it's always super relevant. Now you can see the ad strength went to poor. Don't worry about that. It's because Google wants you to always give them the recommended option where they can just dynamically use it. However, I do like to use the recommended, but sometimes depending on the industry or the location, I will use this pinned button if it makes sense. I would say for you, right off the bat, you can leave it on recommended, then let the ads run for 30 days, 60 days, and then go look back, see what the best headline is, and decide if you want to pin it. All right, so now we have our descriptions, our headlines in here. We're gonna go ahead and make sure we have some images added. So these are pretty terrible images, but for example, let me see if I can free stock images and see what comes up. Pest control, this one looks pretty legit. This looks decent, should be good. I'm gonna hit save. Great, now we have some images in there. You always want to max these out. So in this case, you get 20 images. So you would want to go ahead and max out 20 images. You always want to max out your descriptions and your headlines. And then for your site links, this was able to pick up the site links from the website. So you can see here, there's pest control, cockroaches, rodents, mosquitoes, and that is what is active here. So you want to make sure that and that's what shows on the right side here. So if someone is on desktop too, you can see what it looks like. It'll be able to give them a more specific landing page to go to if it makes sense. And you'll hit done, and then you have your ad here. And before we go to the next thing, I want to make sure that all of these are exact match. So the way I would do that is I would go ahead and put a bracket around each one of them like this, and I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of just pest control because that's a little too broad. All right, now you can see that I've made all of these exact match, meaning that we will make sure that when people are making searches in our local area in Tampa, that we are seeing the most relevant, direct, exact searches showing up for our ads, and that we're not gonna be showing up for something that is, you know, someone's just looking pictures of cockroaches. They're really looking for a cockroach exterminator, someone to do pest inspection, commercial, residential, things like that. And then we'll hit next. And then we can go ahead and set our daily budget. Now it's asking for me to confirm myself. All right, now I hit next and we are able to go all the way through. You can see it's verifying to see if there's any issues with the settings we set up. Sometimes this part will get a little glitchy. You can kind of click around. Actually, sometimes what I'll have to do is go to budget and I just change it to something just to get it active. There we go. Then we hit publish. Bada boom, bada bing. We're live. And it's going to give me some funny message right now. Next. Test connection. Don't care. All right, now we're live. We can go to the campaign. We can see it is in here. We have our ad group, which has our keywords that we're targeting and has the new ad we built. Awesome. Now, here's the other thing that I would recommend you do if you watch this far into the video. This is one ad. Each ad group is allowed to create 3 ads. So if you have a big enough budget, I would recommend creating at least one more ad in here with a little nuance change. Maybe it's focused more on cockroaches. Maybe it's more focused on termites, whatever the case may be. And you can see if sometimes in your local area, you know, in Florida, people have a lot of issues with cockroaches during certain times of the year. So sometimes you might want to have that ad active so Google has more opportunity to use that if it makes sense. So that's just one little detail. And then once you run this for a while, go ahead and click View Asset Details, and it'll give you a breakdown of what headline it's using the most. And that is super powerful for you to know so you can make optimizations around your best ad copy. And again, you want to make sure your ad strength is at excellent. Right now it's poor because I didn't go through for the sake of the video and put in every single like call out for like and all those things. But that is what you always want to be shooting for, is an excellent ad strength score. And lastly, if you want to make sure that your campaign settings and your location targeting is correct, you can always go to your campaign, click this little settings wheel next to it, and then you'll be able to see your locations. And let's say you were doing a zip code targeting, you could add in more zip codes here. You could add in maybe another city, things like that. And that's where you want to do that. All right, thanks for watching. If you have any questions or want to know more, you can click the link in the description down below and join my school community where you can just send me a message and ask me more specific questions. All right, we'll talk soon. Peace. Also, when it comes to your budget for your campaign, I always recommend that if you can spend $50 a day, that is ideal. But the most important thing is whatever your budget is, You need to set it at a budget that you can leave for 30 days without touching it so that the algorithm can have time to learn on the budget level that you set it. So if you tell me, hey, TJ, I can only spend 15 to 20 bucks a day for 30 days, that's great. You can set it, but just don't move it because it helps the algorithm figure out what it is capable of at your certain spend. Now, the reason I recommend 50 is you're giving the platform enough money to spend and figure it out a little bit faster. If you're doing, smaller budgets around 20, 25, 30 bucks a day on a campaign, then it's going to take maybe longer than 30 days. So you just have to be a little bit more patient with the results.